welcome back. So, today we are going to be talking about the 1st Motorized Infantry Division of the 1st Tank Division for the Empire of Japan. Per their description, they were formed in Manchukuo in 1942. In the spring of 1944, some of their regiments took part in the battles of Saipan and Guam, and then in Operation Ichigo. And in March of 1945, they were transferred to Japan to prepare to defend the home islands against possible Allied invasion. So, the big highlight of them is that they are a mechanized squad for Japan. Amazing that they got one before America, right? So they're going to be getting the Type 1 Ho-Ha half-track. Now, it looks like it has 3 machine guns on it, but as far as I can tell, 2 of them are just for show. As far as we've been able to figure, people that ride in it can't use it, the driver and the gunner can't use it, you can't switch between the seats for them. They're really just sitting there on the side. Now your dismounts, they can still pull out their own personal weapons in the back and they can shoot out the sides just like any other half-track, but as far as we can tell, this is basically just like any other half-track. It just, is from Japan and looks a little bit different. So, when you pick up this squad, what are you getting? Well, you're getting a driver, you're getting 2 assaulter 2s, you're getting a light machine gunner 2, you're getting an AT gunner 2, and you're getting a radio operator. And they come with a variety of weapons. They come by default with one, what's it called? The Type 100 late, I believe. Yeah, one Type 100 late. They come with 2 MP28 7.65s. They come with a Type 4 rocket launcher. I think one of them's got an air soccer rifle, and the other one has a Type 99 late. And they come with a Type 99 light machine gun. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can outfit this squad, but just to be upfront with you, the way that I outfitted them, it probably cost me like 40 or 50,000 silver. It doesn't have to cost that for you, but what I did is I picked up another machine gunner 2, I swapped the assaulter 2s for 2 assaulter 4s, and then I changed out most of their weapons. So, the driver, I wanted them to be different than my normal assault squads. Right now my Japanese assault squads are running Tokyo Arsenal SMGs, but the thing is, Japan has a lot of really good submachine guns, and so I decided to give them all Type 2 SMGs. You could give them Tokyo Arsenals, and they'd probably be more close-range assault focused. You could also run them with what they come with. The guns that they come with are fantastic. The only thing to know there is that the Type 100 late is a BR3 gun, and if you're a lower BR Japanese player, then you probably want to swap that for a lower BR submachine gun of your choice. I would go with the MP28 7.65, but ultimately you could go with the S1 100 or any of the others. Pretty much every submachine gun that Japan has is good. As far as their light machine guns, they came with one Type 99 late, so I picked up a second Type 99 late. If you don't like the recoil and fire rate of the Type 99, the Type 96 is a good alternative. But that's assuming that you're going to play BR3 and 4. If you're committed to playing BR2, then you can choose either option, the Type 11 or the Type 97. I think the Type 11 I prefer, just because it doesn't have the giant telescopic sight on it. But if I could take the sight off the Type 97, then I would rather use the Type 97. The problem is I can't take the sight off the Type 97. Don't ask me why either, because it clearly has sights on the right side of the gun. There's no reason why it should be forced to have that enormous scope on there. Moving on from there, I also have the AT Soldier with a Type 4 rifle. I left the Type 4 rocket launcher on there, but I normally prefer the Type 5. I just figured I already swapped everything else out, so it wasn't worth wasting the silver when the Type 4 really is just a side grade to the Type 5. So, it is what it is. In addition to that, I gave all of them explosive packs except for the AT Soldier. He has Molotov because he has a rocket launcher, and I didn't see the need to double dip. In addition to that, they all have AP mines, they all have flasks, they all have knives except for the driver because I always give my squad leaders katanas. I would give them all large ammo packs, but I don't actually have their backpacks available, and I would give them all sidearms, but again, I don't have all their sidearms available. That being said, the driver has a large ammo pack and a Type 14 pistol. Although, to be honest, you could pretty much pick any of the Japanese pistols, they'll all do just fine. I just like the way the Type 14 looks. So, let's talk about the Type 1 Ho-Ha itself, the half-track. I've been pleasantly surprised by it. It's pretty mobile, it's got pretty good get-up. Its top speed is 44.88 kilometers an hour, and the real downside to it is that it has a Type 97 machine gun, which means you have about 20 rounds before you have to reload it, and it's only a 7.7, so you're not really going to be going through a whole lot. A lot of the maps in the Pacific are relatively thin, so you can shoot through a lot of the buildings there, and you can still kill people, but it's not like you have a 50 cal, so you're not punching through lighter armor that the enemy has. All things considered, though, given the difficult terrain that you have to deal with in the Pacific, it actually does surprisingly well. It's able to climb the hills, run through the bamboo, cross the streams, do all that pretty well. If I had to take a guess, if I was stuck with the German one out here, we would be stuck, we would not be able to go anywhere, and it would be a miserable time. So, I am very pleasantly surprised that I can get the Ho-Ha pretty much anywhere that I want it to go. The only exception is, like pretty much every other armored vehicle in Enlisted, it has a very difficult time crossing trenches, so my suggestion is if you see a hole in the ground, go around. As far as the way its camo is, I think it looks nice. I think it does alright at concealing it if you park yourself head on, but that's mostly because it's like dark brown and green. And most of the yellow bits aren't showing there. If you park it side on, people are probably going to see it, but if it's in between some of the huts and whatnot, they might not, because the yellow might actually be enough to throw off the eye and, you know, conceal it with the rest of the huts. That being said, if you just park it on the side of the road somewhere, it doesn't blend in as well as the trucks do, because there are lots of trucks just sitting around the map, but there's really nothing that looks like this half-track sitting around the map. So, the squad itself, I think, performs very well, as long as they survive getting to the front. They basically are like any other half-track, and if you've seen any of my other videos discussing the other half-tracks, all of that holds true. But to go through things relatively quickly, I think half-track premium squads have a lot of value because of their versatility. They're second only to paratroopers, and Japan does not have a premium paratrooper squad. So, in essence, this squad is in a league of its own. If you want a premium squad that you'll be able to use the entire time that you play as Japan, there are alternatives, kind of, but none of them compete at the same level as this squad does. So, realistically, your three choices if you're playing Japan and you want premiums, it's this if you want to play infantry, it's the Chi-Ha if you want to play tanks, and it's the Ki 61 if you want to play planes. But if you want to play on the ground and not be a tank, this is the most competitive choice, and it's not even close. I'm going to make another video, maybe two, in the next week or two, talking about the Type 1 SMG squad and the Type 100 Paratrooper squad, which I do like both of those squads, and I used them extensively pre-merge. I used them quite a bit post-merge as well, but they don't compete with this squad. They're both effectively assault squads. One of them is a medic squad, but it's a 5-man squad, and essentially they act like assaulters. But they both perform decently well. But the thing is, they don't get the specialist options, and they're a smaller squad than this, and they also don't get the half-track. So, I think because you can choose whether or not you want a radio operator, I choose not to take one, personally. Because you have what's effectively 3 assaulters, 2 machine gunners, and an AT soldier, I think that's basically the perfect squad composition. I think if you took away the half-track, I'd probably want to swap the driver for an engineer. But other than that, like, they have the half-track so they don't need the engineer. I think that makes them a very, very competitive squad if you want to play Japan. And the thing is, like I kind of alluded to before, and like all of the other half-tracks, the vehicle itself is BR2. If, for whatever reason, you do not want to play into BR3 and 4 America, you can outfit these guys to only have BR2 weapons, so you have flexibility that you can't find anywhere else in the Japanese tech tree. Even their paratroopers cannot match that, because their paratroopers right now, they have a single event squad, and while they do get a more competitive box at BR345, they don't actually get the option to swap their primaries, so they're always a lower BR squad. They just have some stopgaps from their box that can help them be competitive at higher BR. This squad, as an alternative to that, not only are they premiums, they get premium bonuses, you can also customize every soldier in every way on them to make them whatever you want them to be. They're better than an assault squad because you're bringing as much, if not more, firepower. I would argue 2 light machine guns gives you more firepower than having 2 submachine guns, but it really is up to you. But then they also have their AT soldier. So in essence, I think they are the best premium squad that Japan has gotten up to this point, if you strictly want to play infantry. Whether or not the tanks and the planes are better, I don't think that's really a fair argument to make. You can potentially do more with a tank or a plane, but it's really situational, and it's really dependent on being a player that enjoys that gameplay loop. At the end of the day, if you're playing enlisted, you probably like playing FPS as an infantry. So at the end of the day, this is probably going to be a squad that appeals to everybody. Comparing it to its tech tree truck counterpart, if you look at any of the trucks in the game, they get a driver, they get a series of specialists you can choose. Most of my trucks have driver, assaulter, medic, a machine gunner, and a couple of riflemen. But, for example, my German one, I threw an AT soldier on. I probably would do that with Japan as well, instead of running the machine gunner. Just because I think the Japanese AT weapons, BR for BR, perform excellently. But that being said, I don't think that the truck is as good as the half-track. You can park it in more places, and people might ignore it, but I think the squad composition isn't as good. I'd rather have 3 assaulters, 2 machine gunners, and an AT soldier, than 3 assaulters, an AT soldier, and a couple of riflemen. Because I'm going to give the riflemen, like, Type 4s. Maybe I give them Hies if we're at BR2. And they'll do just fine, but, again, I'm getting more firepower out of this. If I need to sit at longer range for whatever reason, the Type 2 submachine gun has, like, a 50-round magazine, so if you're bringing extra ammo, then there's a very good chance that you can treat it like a pocket light machine gun and suppress people and just use bullets to make up for your inaccuracy at range. Plus, they're extremely stable guns for the most part, and that's not just the Type 2. Japanese submachine guns in general, except for the Tokyo Arsenal SMG, are very stable platforms, so you can use them more effectively in mid-range than you can many other nations' options. So, I think that this is an excellent squad. I've had a lot of fun with it. Bear in mind, they do have all of the shortcomings of the other trucks and half-tracks. They're very vulnerable, they are points pinatas. If a tank sees you, there's a good chance that everybody's dead. If artillery comes down near you, you're in an open-top vehicle, good chance everybody's dead. If a plane decides to shoot rockets or bombs, like, these are all things that happened to me in my first few games. Like, I know what to expect when playing a half-track, but I can also recognize, as somebody who hasn't played other half-tracks or other trucks in the game, it would be really disappointing to get your brand new half-track and then on your first spawn, on your first game out, an RP3 from a bowfighter lands and kills everybody in the vehicle. Now, the plus side is most of the time the truck will survive that, or it's a half-track, not a truck, but most of the time, even though all the squaddies will get mulched, it will keep rolling, and you might get to respawn on it, or one of your teammates will, so you'll still be able to use it as a mobile spawn point. It just might not end up where you wanted it to be. But, assuming you get to park it, there's lots of great places where you can hide it on these maps. There's lots of little dips and gullies, and there's streams, and there's little areas that are surrounded by foliage or by huts and whatnot, so there's lots of areas for you to squeeze it into. On some of the more built-up maps, there's, like barn kind of things that you can go and it'll fit in there, so you can park it somewhere where tanks and planes won't see it, and it doesn't beep like a spawn point does, so you don't really have to worry about the enemy just finding it by mere happenstance. If they find it, they're gonna find it because your teammates keep spawning on it, and they keep seeing where all your teammates are coming from. But at that point, they need to fight through all your teammates that are spawning on it, so it can be a pretty decent spawn point. It can be a pretty difficult nut to crack. So let me know down below if you play Japan and you're picking this up. How have your experiences with it gone? Like I mentioned before, my first few outings with it were a little bit rough, but that's not because of this particular squad. It's just a side effect of when the enemy spawns in a plane at literally the beginning of the game, and they spawn in the air, like they can with some of the planes on the Pacific maps. Sometimes you're just gonna get fucked. But in general, I've had a pretty good experience with it. if you're looking for a Japanese premium squad to pick up, this is the one that I would recommend more than anything else. As a final note, though, Darkflow, please, for the love of everything that's good in the world, give me a box to check off on the half-track to spawn without the half-track. I really don't want to have to choose not to spawn the half-track, just because I want to make sure my teammates keep getting a good spawn point. I like the squad in the half-track. I want to play it all the time, whenever it's available. Just give me that little checkbox like the paratroopers have to let me deploy on foot. Anyway, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.